Hello everyone, welcome to Learning Literature with Purba. In today's video, we are going to look at Emily Dickinson's famous poem, Because I Could Not Stop for Death. So we are going to look at the summary and critical analysis of this beautiful poem, and we are also going to look at some important symbols of the poem. So if you haven't yet subscribed to our channel, then do subscribe to it and hit the bell icon so that you never miss an update. Because I Could Not Stop for Death is a beautiful lyrical poem written by the American poet Emily Dickinson. It is one of her most celebrated poems that she wrote around 1863, but it was published posthumously in 1890. Now, before we look at the summary and critical analysis of the poem, I would like to read out the poem. It is a short poem comprising only 6 small stanzas. So here it goes. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove. He knew no haste, and I had put away my labor and my leisure too, for his civility. We passed the school where children strove at recess in the ring. We passed the fields of grazing grain. We passed the setting sun, or rather, he passed us. The dews drew quivering and chill, for only gossamer my gown, my tippet only tulle. We paused before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice in the ground. Since then, 'tis centuries, and yet feels shorter than the day. I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity. The poem, Because I Could Not Stop for Death, explores the inevitability of death, that death is certain. It is going to happen to every person living. And also the uncertainties surrounding what happens when people actually die. So in this poem, we see a female speaker. The speaker is a female who is visited by death. Now, because the speaker could not stop for death, but death has every intention of stopping for her. In this poem, death is personified as a very kind gentleman who stops his carriage so that the speaker can get in. Also, sitting in this carriage is immortality. So the presence of immortality makes us question again that what happens when people die? Where do they go? In this poem, immortality is ambiguous, not clearly defined. The presence of immortality can support the Christian idea of afterlife. Also, it can suggest something ironic, hinting at the permanent nothingness that awaits in death. Now, death is not at all in a hurry because death is inevitable. It is an automatic fact of life. Therefore, the entire journey is unhurried because reaching the destination is a given. So the speaker passes through the school, then the gazing fields, and also by her own grave. All these places, the school, the gazing fields, and the grave, they show different stages in the life of the speaker, from birth to childhood, finally to death. The final stanza of the poem is filled with ambiguity and contradiction. It's quite contradictory and it is not clear. So the speaker says that it has been centuries since they passed through all the sights of school and the gazing fields, yet it feels shorter than a day. So it means that in the grand scheme of eternity, hundreds of years can feel like a small blip, shorter than even a day. So this thing makes us understand that how difficult it is to be able to comprehend, to be able to understand what eternity is. Life is measured by time, moving through different stages as we age. But in death, the perception of time ceases to exist. Now, in this poem, the kind and calm treatment that death gives to this woman makes us wonder about the Christian afterlife, that maybe there is an entrance to heaven and eternity in God's presence. But at the same time, the way the poem plays around with the concepts of immortality and eternity makes us wonder if the poetess is trying to tell us about the dark nothingness of death, which means that when life is gone, it is gone completely for good. Apart from looking at the mysteries of death, the poem, Because I Could Not Stop for Death, also looks at the nature of life. So the journey of the speaker with personified death mimics the way that life itself is a journey from birth to death. Life and death are in cyclical balance. The poem tells us that life actually is not possible without death. So that was the summary and critical analysis of the poem. Now we are going to look at some important symbols of the poem, Because I Could Not Stop for Death. So the first important symbol is the carriage, in which the speaker is traveling with death and immortality. Now this carriage, it symbolizes the journey from life to death. Next we have children. So children is also a very important symbol in the poem. So in the poem, the third stanza is very symbolic, as it represents the various stages in a human's life. So the speaker sees a group of children playing, and the speaker is looking at the children with a lot of affection. So children here symbolizes the first stage of human life, that is childhood. The next symbol is the fields. So the fields symbolize the second stage of human life, that is adulthood and maturity. The last symbol is the setting sun. So the setting sun symbolizes the end of life. So the speaker is nearing her end of life, and what will follow now is nighttime or death. So these are some important symbols in the poem Because I Could Not Stop for Death by Emily Dickinson. I hope you found the video useful. If you found it useful, then do like it and share with your friends. I'll be back very soon with a new video on a literary work. Till then, stay tuned to Learning Literature with Purba. Do visit our online academy www.learningliteratureWithPurba.com to discover courses and classes on English literature and creative writing. Also stay connected on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for watching.